Hi, I'm Charlotta.
And I'm Vicky. Welcome to the School of Pattern Cutting.
Today we're going to look at how to draft a pattern from an image, and we're looking at cowl necks and the volume around the neck specifically.
So cowl necks tend to fall into two categories. So the first one we're going to look at is ones that are normally used for wedding dresses, prom dresses, evening wear. Yeah. So we're going to look at this idea here. So we've got them on our Pinterest board. So we're going to look at this idea.
Yeah, we're going to use a different image. It has a bit more detail, but it's the same sort of thing where you normally work in like a nice silk.
Yeah.
There's quite a few we've got up. This is similar as well.
Yeah.
This is older, but it's got lots of volume basically.
So a nice soft silk that drapes really beautifully.
And we're gonna analyze the image, talk about fabrics, and then we're finally gonna draft it with you. So let's get on with drafting.
So today we're going to look at how to draft a cowl neck. So we've got some images on Pinterest for you all to have a look at. They tend to sort of be either extreme or more subtle or very complex, don't they? So we're looking at some that are a bit complicated to start off with.
Also different sort of countries, cowl neck means something else. So for example, that's a cowl neck. But then a lot of people would think cowl neck is more like something like that, cut on the bias, cut off in silk, or nowadays you get them in a really nice power jersey, so it drapes beautifully.
And quite wedding-y at times, isn't it? Or prom dressy. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at two ideas: a simple one and a more over the top one.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to get on with that. Yeah. So they're all on our Pinterest if you want to have a look.
So let's look at the sort of classic cowl neck. I think the reason I quite often worn an evening wear because you can't really wear anything on top. Yeah. So because you got all the volume, and quite often it's actually mirrored in the back with a smaller cowl neck.
Oh, okay.
Or a flat.
Yeah.
So it starts with a basic bodice.
Yeah.
But as you can see, I've made the shoulders narrower.
Yeah.
And it's very tight underneath.
So it is your basic bodice fitted bodice block, isn't it? There's probably some structure underneath this piece of fabric that we're not going to deal with today.
If you go into sort of evening wear, wedding dresses, you would probably have a corseted type undergarment. So it might be made out of power net, but it will be a corset.
This tends to be quite, like either a jersey or maybe even a chiffon. If you've got a layer underneath it.
This looks like it's a really fine silk, but then it might actually, the body would be lined. Yeah. Because you don't want something you want something with a bit of weight, otherwise it's just going to flow around. So for example, a silk, you would use a silk cover tie. You might use a silk,
you could use a
twill or like a really nice satin.
A Duchess satin. So we're going to look at how you get this volume in here.
Okay. What's also nice, one last thing, is if you have, because you either line it or you have the facing as part of the garment.
It looks like to me that this is facing because you feel the's no seam here, so it feels to me like it goes around.
We're going to show you a trick depending on how big you make it. So as usual, you start with your center front. You're going to put it quite low on the screen because you're only going to work on the neck.
So again, this is when you have the advantage of having a fitted bodice block because it needs to be fitted down.
But I was thinking if you leave the whole garment loose, it could be quite nice as well. But you need to probably make it slightly smaller cowl neck. Okay. Just draw in the bustard. Okay, and then you're gonna draw in. So the shoulder has definitely gone in a bit.
Yep. So what should we say?
Maybe 3 centimeters.
3 centimeters, yeah.
And then I think that's maybe 4 centimeters by maximum, or 5 actually.
5, I think.
Yeah, 5. You don't want to if you make it too wide, I always think it looks like it becomes quite heavy. Yeah. So it's getting a balance. So we're gonna first of all redraw our armhole using our pattern master.
So do you want that drawn down to this knot?
Yes, and you want to sort of start at a right angle. Okay. then you might...
So you're just narrowing the shoulder off so it doesn't sit so high.
You don't want... That's always quite important because, of course, if you make this armhole too big, you start going towards your bra. And also, sometimes it becomes too baggy.
Yeah.
So you want to keep it quite tight. This is a really tight one, so it will hit straight underneath your arm. But that's what you want because you're suddenly going to go really wide here. Okay, so what we're basically going to do is we're going to move lots of volume into the neck. So you're going to do one line from here, but you're going to do it a bit higher. Okay. And then the second, we might do a second one, so you spread it out. Yeah.
So you're adding, the trick is that you're going to add more volume up here, so this drapes.
And then we're going to maybe do a third one, which goes all the way down to the waist. Yeah.
So why would you do that?
I think it's because if you close this, it might not be enough volume.
Okay.
So we do a third one. And this is slightly wonky. I just always think it's a good idea to stay straight if you can.
Oh, well, on this one?
Yeah, parallel to the front.
Okay.
Just because then you get a parallel edge of volume. I was thinking, unless there's a reason to go wonky, I think it's best to go keep everything at right angles.
So if you're using a pencil, you can rub these lines out, but we're not, so we'll just cross them out.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut along here and leave it attached to the bust point, cut along here, and then you're going to cut this line later once we've closed it.
So we're going to close this dot. Can we cut along here?
Yep.
So if there's any moments where you think, oh, I'd quite like to know, so on that one as well?
Let's leave it for now.
And then do I cut this up from the waist? No, down, don't I? Like that?
Yeah.
So if you're using pencils, make sure you rub the lines out so you know which line you're using. Because there's nothing more annoying than using the wrong line. How far down should I go?
So you're nearly touching the edge. Perfect. So, okay, what we need to do now, we just have a quick look. We can close this one now. So you might leave it for.
So we're closing that dot.
Yeah, because what we want to end up with is, if you look at the image, it's basically it's one continuous line.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's how the cowl works, because this hasn't got a seam.
It hasn't got a point, has it?
Yeah.
It's one big loop.
Yeah, so you need a 90-degree angle. So we need to keep the 90-degree angle there, and we need to open it enough so it gets that drape. And if you think that drape is quite
it's quite extreme,
long,
isn't it?
So I think if you think from the shoulder,
so
it might go to
so for example, so we've got that,
which is
So you're saying it needs to be.
So if this is 8 centimetres on the image here, so that's actually longer than the whole width of the garment. So if you say, a lot of it, you might actually want to use a piece of fabric on the dummy and try it out. But if we say the width of our garment is 20, so we might want to make the length of a drape 30 centimetres.
Okay, so it is going to look very odd on the pattern, isn't it?
And I think this, if you're trying to create that much volume, it's better to put a bit too much in, because if you put too little on, it looks quite mean.
Yeah, I think that's it, because you can end up with like thinking, oh, it looks really little, doesn't it?
Yes, and it should look glamorous rather than sort of trying to save some fabric. It looks quite high street. You always think that's the difference between some from the high street and some expensive, that they use a bit more fabric.
So we're now going to put a piece of paper behind this to insert, aren't we?
So if you leave it like
no, not big enough.
They can go in here, can't they?
So we're closing that dot on the bust.
Yeah. And then you're inserting a piece of fabric, paper, so like that. So on here, we can only add that much volume because we're closing a bust dart. And that's where the parallel.
Yeah, well the lines, you can't, there's no way of putting any volume in, is there? So
what you could do at the moment, we haven't used the waist start, so ours would be fitted but not super fitted. But of course if you close the waist start, you can make it a bit bigger there. But it's up to you.
Okay.
So we need a second piece of fabric.
And this fits in here. So when you do all these patterns, it's a question of trial and error, and then I draw out my final pattern so you've got something you can keep. Yeah.
So yeah, what you've got, we've closed the bastard, we added a piece of paper to create more volume, and now we're gonna put this in and just see whether it's actually enough, because we said we want around 30 centimeters.
Oh,
this is actually 30.
So even though that looks quite extreme, that's the right amount, isn't it? So.
Also, if you think about, so that's, if you go back to the image, this point hits, I think, underneath bust line. Yeah. So the bottom of your bra. Just
so if you actually measure down here,
So it's a 31. Yeah. So if you move that, so we can make a bit close up a little bit. Yeah. And that's why it's really important you look at images and actually think not just as a drawing, but actually think there's a hit on the body. And that's really important. A lot of people just sketch. I mean, sketch it without actually thinking how will it fit.
How's it going to look? Because a cowl neck that finishes up here with this volume is going to look really daft, isn't it? So,
yes, unless it's like, it could be sort of maybe 50, sort of really out of a wall, but it's sort of quite tricky. It wouldn't look nice on a wedding dress, would it? No.
So we're just going to sellotape this into place. Pattern cutting is definitely at this stage a lot of trial and error and a lot of your aesthetic. So you need to decide how you want it to look, don't you? So.
But also that's why you trial. So with stuff like that which is striped, you always want to make a first trial. And I wouldn't make the trial in a calico.
I'd make it something that's similar to your final fabric.
It could be even like lining fabric. Yeah. So the really important thing is, as this is a fold, if you write centre front fold on there, it needs to be at 90 degrees.
From here?
Yeah. So if you start out with 90 degrees and then we curve it.
Is that too much?
No, that's good.
Okay.
So even, I would go a bit, you want a very soft, so we have to hit that point up there. So what we want is a straight line, but we're going to give you two options. One option is, at the moment you can see we can't do a straight line, so we can start out, I'll take off my bikini, control her. So if we start out with a straight line, we have to move on to a slight curve, because it doesn't hit the point. If you're doing that, you then have to add a facing. So you could have a facing 8 centimeters
so if you,
wide.
So you can. So you'd have to put in, for example, a facing to sit in here.
Yeah. And that gives you that really, you can see here, it moves in, but this actually looks like it hasn't got a facing. This looks like it just folds over. And to achieve that, you need to make that volume big enough so you can draw either a straight line, or what we can do is, if you want to achieve, I'm going to draw this in green. So that's your option 2. So if you want to have a completely straight line from the shoulder point, can you see now we haven't got the right angle? So what you have to do is, you can do like a really...
Oh, okay, so you create the right angle.
But can you see how much volume you actually still need to add to create the right angle? But it needs to go all the way down to the dart. If you draw it in. And if you extend that there, a bit more even. So, and what you can do now is to say, this is another fold. So this would be a facing fold. Okay. And then what you need to do is you draw with some more paper. Then end up with a collage.
We'll try to save paper.
So that's why you always do, once you've trialed it, you do a second.
Yeah, because you don't want to be working, you don't want to be trying to cut this out, do you? You want to be trying to working with like a nice pattern.
So, because then what you can do is that you have, it's like a little sort of, it's a bit like a handkerchief, isn't it? A neckerchief.
Yeah.
So
that would tuck in.
Yeah,
then.
and that would give you a really nice edge.
Yeah. And they're both right angles.
Yeah, so you would cut it on that fold.
Yeah.
And then you, after sewing it, you would fold it in there. And sometimes I've even seen where I've got a bit of a weight there. And then edge
to hold it in.
Yes,
Yeah,
that gives it a drape. So if you're working really light fabric, if you have a weight there.
Yeah.
So if you look at this really drapes down because you don't want it sort of flowing around your face.
No, so there must be something to tuck it in.
So it might be either that it's actually attached to an undergarment or it has got that facing fold which hits just as a tiny bit of weight at the bottom.
So remember that you need to, you're not getting rid of all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you either can do this line
with a facing,
which would face it like that.
Yeah.
Or you can do this line, which has got an attached facing.
But it would be quite beautiful, for example, if you're working in a crepe backed satin.
Yeah.
So if you had that in satin and then you had the facing all around, so you got like a more matte.
That'd be lovely, yeah. But that's something to work out when you look at your fabrics. Yeah. So that's why it's really important to make a toile in a fabric that's similar, for once, and then start thinking about how you're going to design this.
And with this pattern, you have seam allowance everywhere here.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're ready to make your first toile, not on the fold.
Yeah.
So get drafting and let us know how you got on.